Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The mayor has called the special council meeting to order. Mayor Roscoe,
Present.
Vice Mayor Kaplan,
Here.
Councilmember London, Councilmember McCormick,
Here.
Councilmember Moss. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Please, we are starting.
Councilmember Sardinius, Councilmember Vasquez.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, the next item is public comments.
Yes, so right now all we're dealing with is a special council meeting on an interlocal agreement. And at this point in time, I will open it up for this very specific thing. And then after we finish with this special council meeting, we will move to the budget, which is millage and budget. Okay, so
The next item is a resolution. Oh, I think you have one person. I'm
yes,
sorry.
I have Mr. Davey signing to speak only on the interlocal agreement.
Only on the interlocal.
Thank you.
Mike Davey, 50 Ocean Lane Drive. Thank you all. Thank you to staff for finally getting this going. So let's do it. I don't think this is a no-brainer. Let's just make it happen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The next item is a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Key Biscayne, Florida, approving an interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County related to the Key Biscayne Coastal Storm Risk Management, CRSM, feasibility study, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date.
Move. Second.
Thank you.
And properly before us, Mr. CRO.
I'm going to kick off first, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity. This is an exciting time. This program or this study is 4 years in the making. Good news is that we were able to move to a standalone study which focuses on Key Biscayne itself. It's both a beach and a back bay study. And what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Rowan to go over some of the more details and also be available to answer your all's questions.
Yeah, so this interlocal agreement formalizes the partnership between ourselves and the county. The county is the local project sponsor to what the Army Corps is intending to do, which is this beach and back bay feasibility study, which provides a whole of island shoreline protection solution for the community. The cost sharing between the local project sponsor, which is ourselves and the county, and the federal government is 50-50. So ultimately, our share of the total cost for the study is 25%, because we take 50% of the total cost, and then that's split 50-50 with the county. And this interlocal agreement also pairs with the federal cost share agreement that is the agreement between the county and the federal government to move forward with this analysis of the Back Bay and beach combined. The analysis of the Back Bay pairs with what was previously undertaken through the feasibility study that just focused on the beach.
Okay.
Quick question, Roland. Is this the one that we were originally not included by the Army Corps?
So
It's people.
that
Yeah.
was the beach focused, oceanside focused analysis feasibility study. We were not originally included in that. We petitioned the Assistant Secretary of the Army for a waiver that was granted that got us into the feasibility study. They did do the analysis of the beach and then realized that they needed to do a full Back Bay analysis to protect the benefits area that was being protected by the oceanside shoreline protection approach. They needed to also have a Back Bay shoreline protection approach. Because
Well, I want people to recognize the level of effort that was done on this, because I seem to recall that we were not included, and you guys have done a fantastic job in making sure that we're incorporated in this and considered. Appreciate you and the manager and everybody else that's worked on this. Thank you.
Can you go down the line? Okay, so the first part of this is a study, okay?
Correct.
And that study by the Army Corps then determines what and then get into what
So-
could be the benefits of doing
Sure.
this.
So the Back Bay analysis, this Back Bay study, will ultimately lead to a tentatively selected plan. Along the way, during the study period, there are going to be numerous points where the public, our community, will be engaged with the Corps, listening to what they're coming up with, and also then putting forward what is agreeable to the community relative to shoreline protection from the backside. It will also be paired with the tentatively selected plan that they came up on the ocean side. All of that then will be presented to the community as a whole of island shoreline protection approach. And then at that point, it will have to go into, once it's accepted, it'll have to go into preliminary engineering design, and then the whole appropriations and authorization process, and then ultimately implementation.
So, you're the manager. Can you explain the benefits of having the federal government as your partner in this type of situation?
35% cost share.
Okay.
So 65% would come from the federal government, 35% would come from the local project sponsor, which would be the county and the village paired together with some agreed upon split on that 35%. If it were to conform to the 50-50 approach that they've taken for this, then it would be 17.5% the village, 17.5% the county. That would be the 35%. That would then be paired with 65% of financial support from the federal government for implementation of shoreline protection for the village.
Okay,
I think
so,
I'd like to add to that as well. Obviously, it's financial, but it's also the expertise that they bring, right? They've done this before. They have the expertise in terms of the engineering, the environmental portion of it. Obviously, they bring the permitting capability. So, this is the sort of thing that we cannot do by ourselves. And it's critical that we have a partner like this in order to protect our shorelines.
okay, very good. Yes.
I want to join on in saying thank you for getting us this far. I know this has not been easy, and I know Frank and Brett and Ed have been up here when we didn't have this, in place, and we were paying to just keep kind of putting little Band-Aids of sand on the beach ourselves. And I think it's important that the community know that, starting certainly when Mayor Davey was here, now through Mayor Rasco and this administration, the work that has been done to move Key Biscayne into really the big leagues and having really big partners, it is going to allow us to survive. This is stuff Steve just said we could not do alone. That isn't just financial, it's also the expertise, as he said, but we were entirely alone. And now through so much work, we have this amazing opportunity, and I think the entire community should be aware of it and really grateful, because I think this is our survival.
I should also add, for the benefit of the community, that once we are accepted into the Coastal Storm Risk Management Program, that window is, like, we're in the program for the next 50 years. So all beach renourishments and any other implementation strategy that they use on the Back Bay will be supported by the federal government for the next 50 years, and at which point then you have to re-up it, basically.
Great. Ed, and then,
Roland, assuming how long it's going to take to get the Back Bay study done approximately?
Probably around 3 years.
So this, about 27.
Yeah.
When would we expect, so everything goes smoothly, which never does, but smoothly, when would we expect to see construction?
I'm gonna defer to the manager on that, because he knows the
He's the
Corps
engineer.
much better than I do.
Well, let's just say it's a 3-year study. I mean, obviously, that's what we have to look forward to. There is, as Roland mentioned before, once the study is complete, they go into what's called preliminary engineering design. That is funded directly out of the district, Jacksonville District, who will be doing the work for us. Once the design is done, then we will have to go back to the federal government for the appropriations for the construction. So I don't necessarily want to predict when that might be, but let's just assume we kick off in November of 2023. Study is done at the end of 26. They'll go through design for about a year or two, so now we're talking 28. Around 28 is when we'll be going to the federal government for the appropriations.
So about 32, it should be accomplished, would you say? Is that a good number? I mean, Because people
mean,
always
yes,
ask,
yes,
say,
but
when's it going to happen? So don't.
It's not gonna start before 2030.
Don't bug us. We have no control.
It's not
over
going
it.
to start before 2030.
So 32 is a reasonable time.
Yeah, it's not going to start before 2030, yes.
I'm sorry.
2030. It's not going to start before
Wouldn't
2030.
start
No, I'm
before
saying definitive, completed, not start, complete.
Yeah, 2032.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Frank, did you have your hand up?
I would urge us to exert that kind of subtle leverage that will enable us to participate in the preliminary engineering design when it comes. And, you know, Allison's point, the structural impediments over a long time that we've been really frustrated and stymied by include this. And this now changes, hopefully forever. This was one of these things that we, you know, look at each other over the years and tried to figure out what do we need to do to change this reality, because it just doesn't work. And this is the solution to that impediment, that problem. So we've really progressed on something really important.
Thank you, Mr. Moss.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one quick question. So this study is only a study. Once we get to design, we have some flexibility to work with the Army Corps of Engineer on which solution may be the correct solution that we want?
Well, I mean, we're going to have every opportunity during the study as well.
Okay, we can do that during
Yeah,
the study.
The study is a fully engaged, community engaged study. And one of the things that was occurring last spring was the possibility that this study may go to Norfolk District, who is doing the back-based study for the county. And we made it very clear that we started with Jacksonville. We know Jacksonville. We want to stick with Jacksonville. And plus, they're right up the road. So we're very close to them, and we have the ability to make sure that they understand that this needs to be a very, very community-involved approach.
All right, so we have input and we can help guide making sure that their solution is something that's not something that is something that we don't want. So
Right.
Yeah, I would just add that during the process, during the public engagement process, which is happening during the Back Bay study itself, ultimately, all of that community input is factored into them coming up with an acceptable a tentative selected plan.
excellent.
And then that tentatively selected plan is what moves forward once it's acceptable. And that's what moves forward to preliminary engineering design, which is PED stage.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
One real last question, I guess to Steve. From your experience, they're estimating $3 million for the Back Bay study. How likely would that be the number? Or we should be planning going above that number?
See, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Bay study's an estimate.
Or the
That's
study
not-
itself.
Yeah.
That's not a definite number.
No, it's not a definite
So
number.
my question is, from your experience, how accurate is their estimates?
They can change. I don't want to predict. I mean, but yeah, they can change.
I'm talking about your history.
Look, and I think let's be fair, right? So this is a complex. Our back to our island is a very complex bit piece of water, and how it interfaces with our land. Once they start in November, their first step is to come in and do an assessment. They'll work with us in the county and come back and say, this is what we think we need to go forward. I think their estimate is good now, but let's hear what they have to say once they start underway.
So in your 28 years in the Corps, how accurate were their estimates?
Let me be clear. I was never in the Corps.
Army Corps of Engineers.
I was a U.S. Army engineer. And the Corps used to work for me, but so I was on the same side I'm on right now. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but let's give them a break. We'll see where this goes.
Overall.
Ed, I can't give you a number.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Any other discussion? Seeing none,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Are we giving something away tonight? All this cheap? What's we heard? Do we?
Aye. This is looking bad for dinner.
I have a bunch. Do you want to take those and I'll put out more? Thank you.
Good evening, Ed. Good evening, Ed.
Mr. Stone?
Do you have coffee? Coffee, do we have coffee?
Sorry? Oh, he doesn't look good. Yeah. Oh, tonight it's Beggars Night? Everybody's begging for the
This is like,
comes in.
Oh, we've adjourned the special council meeting.